All right, let's get started learning how to code using GitHub Copilot. So the first thing that we're going to do is have it generate something simple, and then we're going to tinker around in there to see what happens. And what we're going to make is something that's web-based, so that it's easy to kind of see our results instantly and experiment. Let's go ahead, make a to-do list app in JavaScript. All right. Again, I'm doing this in Visual Studio Code. Have it in agent mode down here. For right now, I selected GPT 4.1 as the Copilot model. All right, it says that the JavaScript to-do list app has been created with the following files. I can open the index.html file in my browser. So we're going to say, we're going to open this right there. Okay. So first we'll just play around with this to-do list just to see what it does, and then we'll start messing with things over in the Visual Studio Code to see what happens. Test this app. Add. Okay, so I can enter in text, click add, and that adds it. Test again, this time pressing enter. Yep, so pressing enter also adds an item to the to-do list. Now we're going to try and delete one. Yep, it deleted. Now I'm going to refresh the page, see what happens, and it's gone. So it doesn't save across refreshes, so that's something to keep in mind. Okay, we have our basic app up and running. We're able to see it on the side here in our browser. And now I want to start messing with things. We have 3 files in Visual Studio Code: app.js, index.html, style.css. Before we actually start tinkering, I guess, with any of those files, let's go ahead and ask, since we're just learning to code, or I'm pretending to just learn how to code here, I'm going to say, I've never coded before. What do these files do? Right? I don't even know necessarily like what kind of question to ask, right? Because I've never coded before, so I see these 3 files here in Visual Studio Code. I don't know what they do. I'm going to ask Copilot what they do. So it says index.html is the main web page, sets up the structure, a title, a form, and so on. Style.css controls how the app looks, makes the app look clean and modern, blah, blah, blah. App.js is the logic behind the app. It lets you add new to-dos by typing and pressing add, click a to-do to mark it as complete, delete a to-do by clicking the delete button. Let me go ahead and just add a thing here. Okay, I didn't even know that, but cool. So you can click on it to mark it as done. Altogether, these files create a simple interactive to-do list that you can use in your browser. I'm going to say, cool. How might I'm going to switch this to ask mode instead of agent mode, just to make sure it doesn't make any changes on my behalf right now, because I want to start learning, right? I don't want it to do anything else for me right now. I want to start learning. How might I experiment with making changes in these files to begin to learn to code? Okay, because basically what we're doing, make this simple app, and now we can play with this code. As opposed to learning to code from scratch, we're going to learn almost from like a top-down way, where we're reverse engineering, in a sense, how to code. Okay. Great question. Experimenting is a fantastic way to learn. In app.js, change the text on the delete button to remove. So let's look for anywhere that says delete over here. I see delete here. And it's in this line that says del btn.text content. And del btn, we can kind of guess it means delete button. Text content, we can assume means the content that's inside that button. And so if we change that right here to remove, maybe, click save, and then refresh our page, and then add a new item, we see that our button has changed from saying delete to remove. Okay. Now, what this won't tell you unless you specifically ask it more questions, is that this remove thing is called a value that is being stored into the text content property of the delete button object. But those are all technical things you don't really need to know now. You just want to start getting comfortable with tinkering around to see how changing code impacts the output of the actual application. All right, now in style.css, we can change the background color of the app. Let's go over to style.css. Make completed to-dos a different color, make the font bigger, or change the font family. Here's an example of something that they do. So .completed. We don't have to necessarily know why things are written the way they are or anything like that. Let's just take a look at these different things and take some guesses at what things might do. So button, okay, maybe this, we know from what it described that the style.css file has to do with how things look, right? The colors, the shapes, stuff like that. So for buttons, right, we see it has different properties, different things that we can modify about it. And let's see here. We got background, and it's got this color looking thing here. Right, and we're in Visual Studio Code. Maybe can we actually even just play around with this? Looks like we can. So what if I do this? And then, I don't know, maybe hit enter or something? Oh, look at that. It changed it right there. I'm going to save this, refresh. And look, the background color to my button changed to yellow. And then I notice when I hover my pointer over it, it changes to blue. So maybe there's a, oh, look at that, button hover property that has its own little property, background color. Maybe we can change this around again. Maybe we'll go to green. Wait a second, there it goes, save, refresh. Now if we hover over the button, it turns green. All right, so this is a great way to start tinkering around and seeing how things work, starting to get a feel for how things work. Scroll down a bit more, index.html. We can change the title of the page, blah, blah, blah. We don't want to read that too much. Let's just take a look at what things look like here. So I don't understand what any of this says, right? If I don't know coding or anything like that. Title, okay, that to-do list app. We see this text over here. Let's look if we can find it over on our actual app. This says to-do list, but it doesn't say to-do list app. Look at the top where our tab is. It says to-do list app up there. So maybe if I change this, that will also change how the tab looks. And it does, to-do list thing, just like I changed it, right? So this is what I wanted to do for this first kind of introductory video on how to use vibe coding as a means for beginning to learn how to code, right? We don't know by any means how to code yet, but we're seeing how code impacts the end product here. Okay, so this is a very brief introduction to how to code using vibe coding. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. And stay tuned for more videos in this series where we go into more depth. We start to learn more details. We'll ask Copilot more questions, right? Because my main goal here is to teach you how to learn, right? I'm not here to actually teach you how to code. I'm here to teach you how to learn to code using vibe coding and Visual Studio Code's GitHub Copilot as a tool to get there. Until next time, happy coding.